Nicole, welcome to the podcast. It is such an honor to have you on the show.
No, stop. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much. I'm so excited.
Okay, Nicole. So, listen, you heard a little bit of my introduction of you. You have one of the world's best voices. You're just incredible vocalist, musician, singer, songwriter. Where did this all begin for you? Where'd the passion start?
Wow. Well, thank you very much, by the way. Where did it all start? I always find it very cliche when I start here, but genuinely, my mum and my dad really did say that I could sing before I could speak. I do hate that phrase because I know that a lot of singers do say this, but genuinely, they would have to shut me up. I was continuously, as a little girl, like 4 years old, even younger than that, like just putting on a show in the living room in front of the fireplace, like just a little performing monkey, basically. And I think when they picked up that I could sing and I was in tune and pitch perfect at that age and trying to sing Celine, trying to sing Whitney, and I'm the only musical person in my family. So they
Are
found this,
you?
yeah, so they found this mental. They were like, where did she come from? And how did this happen?
See, I thought for sure that you were going to tell me that your mom was a vocal teacher or your dad taught, instrumentals in high school or something like. But no, that's not the case.
No, not at all. My mum is a carer. My dad has passed now, but he was a janitor in a school, like a cleaner. And yeah, so we come from really humble beginnings and they just had no idea what to do with it. Sorry, we've
Wow.
got a cockapoo entrance
Wonderful.
today.
I love it. What's his name? Her name?
His name is George.
George. Oh, what a handsome boy. What a handsome boy.
He's so handsome. Um,
I've
Yeah, there's no musical in my family. I mean, my mum did mention my granddad, who had passed the year before I was born, used to play organ and used to
uh
sing, but there was no financial backing for him, and I'm pretty sure he was a miner, like as in like he worked in the mines and
unreal.
a real kind of grafter. And I guess singing isn't a normal job or a good job to have. It's risky, isn't it? It's not
Sure.
reliable. So it was never encouraged. But they were kind of like the Von Trapps, my mom and her sisters, and with
Oh,
her dad.
I like that. Okay. Now, you mentioned you come from humble beginnings. So when did it start for either your mom or dad or for you when you decided that there's some talent here and you're going to pursue this and explore what's possible?
So I feel like from the stories that they've told me, there's one in particular that always comes to mind is we have, which I think is Walmart in America, but
Yes.
it's called Asda here.
Okay.
And they always in the cart, they have like a seat for children. And when I was like 3, 4 years old, I literally would be like singing My Heart Will Go On by Celine Dion in in this cart. And everyone, and honestly, my mum used to get kicked out of restaurants because people were like, can you keep your child down? She's singing too much. She's really disturbing the
Oh, that's
customers.
great.
So there was all these little instances, and then they enrolled me in a theatre school, and there was loads of little open mic singing competitions, and wherever I could sing in the Christmas carols in school, like yeah, they just encouraged it really, and I was pretty much rehearsing in shows in musical theatre since I was about 5 or 6 years old.
Hmm.
So yeah.
Unreal. And so your musical influences, you mentioned Celine. You're not messing around. Who who have influenced you the most in your career so far?
I mean, the list is endless, and I find it really overwhelming because my music genres go from like pop to R&B to do you know what, I even love some country stuff like Leanne Rhymes back in the day. But Celine and Whitney were always up there with the top vocalists, and Michael Jackson, Stevie Wonder.
Oh
Like
my.
it was very much soulful powerhouse vocalist. Christina Aguilera. Well, I thought I was Christina when I was younger. So she was a massive, massive part in my journey. So yeah, and then there's Beyonce, Ariana Grande. Honestly, it's ridiculous now, the list, to be honest.
Well, I've seen you perform on social media, and I can't wait to see you live. But your covers, I mean, and also, by the way, congratulations on your new single, "Come Over" on Spotify. I had that cranked up. Unbelievable song. Really
Thank
great.
you. Thank you so much. Little dance
Oh,
feature. Yeah, we just thought we'd put something out, like get the feels out there until we release the new music that we've been working on in Canada. So that's coming very soon.
okay. Really, really strong. But yeah, your musical genre, you cover it all. I mean, you can be soulful, you can get big. I
Mm.
mean, that you have such a wide range, which I find just unbelievable. And
Thank
tell me a little bit about then leap forward from when you were in that shopping cart to maybe your early teens, but the
Yeah.
X Factor, the X Factor. Tell us about that experience for you. How did that happen, and what was that experience like?
It was very surreal. And as much as I felt I was really ready for it, I think obviously everything happens for a reason. Huge believer in that. So it was quite overwhelming, and I'm quite glad that it didn't. It was definitely a vital part of my journey. Huge milestone. Learned a lot. It was great for experience performing on stages that you could only dream of. Like we performed at Wembley Arena, which is this iconic arena in London. And for a little Scottish girl at 16, like that was a huge deal. And again, I think with X Factor, it was, I guess it's kind of like American Idol, where when you were an aspiring singer, it's all you watched growing up. And when they won, the way that it catapulted their career, with the way it launched them, was there was nothing like it. They used to get the #1 single at Christmas, and then they
Mm.
released an album off the back of it. They got a record deal, and so that was the dream basically. And I really felt when I was 16, I was super ready, but I guess there was still a lot more learning to do and a lot more wisdom to come. But experience wise, it was phenomenal. And I learned a lot. I met a lot of fantastic people. I really felt like I had met people that I could relate to. Like, I think growing up, I used to find it very isolating and a bit like I was it's very difficult to explain. It was like a lot of people aren't trying to be pop stars out here. Like it's not a job that's encouraged. And especially from the small town I'm from, I was bullied quite badly. And so I used to always just feel like alone, I guess, and like a
Hmm.
loner. So um yeah. So yeah, when I went and did this experience and I met everyone who was just as hungry for success in the music industry as me, it just felt like I'd met my people.
Oh, that is so neat. What were some of the lessons learned from that experience, looking back at it now? What would be the top lesson you took away from that?
I think the top lesson that I learned was just to always be yourself. Always be yourself, be true to yourself always, because you are heavily influenced by you're influenced by everyone in your life, really, aren't you? Like they even say
Mhm.
if you like spend too much time with certain people, you pick up 5% of their mannerisms, 5% of like how they
That's
speak
true.
and what their different facial expressions like. So you are heavily influenced by everyone around you, which is can be obviously um a good and a bad thing. But I think obviously at 16, you're trying to work out yourself, you're still learning about yourself. And I sort of wish that I had sort of put my foot down a little bit more, whereas I just kind of tried to roll with the punches and be Mrs. Nice Guy. And
I'm sure. No, I cannot even imagine at 16 being in that situation, being in that opportunity. What you
yeah.
answered there, though, reminds me of Todd Tillman. You may not know Todd. Todd is in Tennessee in the United States, and
Okay.
he is the season 18 winner of The Voice. Kind of a soulful, I mean, just a wonderful vocalist. But I was
Yeah.
asking him on The Voice, what was some of his lessons learned? You know what he said? He said, when he first went in for auditions and early on in the competition, he was trying to be like everyone else. And
Mm.
what flipped it for him was when he said, you know what? I just got to be me. I just have to just put the blinders on and be who I am and sing my type of music.
Yeah.
Does that connect with you at all?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I think that those shows are, it is difficult to be yourself and make people love you. But then also at the same time, it's like if you believe in yourself, they will believe in you as well. But I feel like what's difficult with the show is the fact that there is a lot of like, they pick your songs, they pick the artists that you
Oh, I
bring in.
see.
And so it is kind of hard because if you know that you don't sound great in a particular genre like that, or this song doesn't suit your voice or your vocal register, things like that. So
Yeah.
you really have to show how versatile you are. And I guess that's where your artistry comes in, because you've got to get smart and really work on the arrangement of the song to try and bring it back to who you are as an artist and what works for your voice. Otherwise, because me singing the Beatles, like, it's like asking Celine Dion to sing the Beatles. Not that I'm Celine Dion, I wish, but with
Yeah.
having similar vocal ranges and a similar voice, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, really good perspective. You know, one of the things I noticed when I'm watching you sing on TikTok and also on Instagram is that you have such passion for the song, and it's like you just believe every note, every word
Yeah.
in it. And what's that process like for you for selecting the songs that you are going to sing and perform and own? Because it feels like you're really selective and it's really intentional.
Yeah, I think most recently I've went back old school, back to basics, back to the music that I loved growing up. Celine Dion ballads, the Whitney ballads, the Mariah ballads, the yeah, and I don't think we don't really have those powerhouse ballads anymore in this generation. It's really sad, in this day and age. But when I'm when I'm choosing these songs, I also the love I have for them, the nostalgia and where I was when I was younger learning them, and it's such a challenge. I love to challenge myself, and back then when I used to practice them in my bedroom, screaming, like trying to hit the high notes, like it was a struggle. So it feels really great to watch the progression and the journey that it's taken for me to be able to sing these songs and own them finally. So yeah,
Yes.
so it's that, yeah, they're definitely still a challenge. And yeah, so I kind of, obviously music is like therapy, and you're portraying the story, you're expressing yourself, and you really have to put yourself in the shoes before you sing the song, and then when you sing the song you've got to believe that that's your story to tell.
Mm. Yeah, there's such lessons there because you can really tell. For those who are not yet following Nicole or on Instagram, I'm going to get this right here. It's red, red, red. Do I have that right?
Yeah, you got it right.
It's red, red, red on Instagram. And then also on TikTok, your handle on TikTok is the same, is it not?
Same, yeah, yeah, the same. It's red, red, red.
Okay, we have to talk about this because what in the world on Instagram? I believe you have like 700,000 followers on. I'm sorry,
This is
200,000
TikTok.
followers on
Yeah,
Instagram, but also
yeah,
on TikTok, you're close to 900,000 followers on TikTok. Good
crazy.
grief!
Yeah.
Where did this begin for you? How did this happen, Nicole?
It was actually during the pandemic. We were pretty much locked up in the UK for like a year and a half. Like it was locked down for 3 months. Would be allowed like curfews for a month, then back to lockdown for 4 months. It was so during this time, like TikTok was the upcoming app, and people were just getting creative on it. And I just seen an opportunity and just went for it. And I hustled and I learned everything about the app, and I became obsessed with it. And once I started seeing my videos progressing in views, it sort of gave me that motivation and that push to like keep going with it. And that was the same with Instagram. So what I would just do is kind of simultaneously just post the videos I would post on TikTok, on Instagram, and both of them back to back would just do well view wise, and it gathered a following.
Boy, I'll say, and one of them has, I believe, over 14 million views. I
It's
mean,
crazy. I actually checked it, like as in like you can pin your most popular videos on your TikTok to the top of your profile,
yeah.
and the highest one I have is 19.4 million
Oh
on my
my gosh.
cover all by myself.
So that is all by myself. Power ballad. Here we go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, okay, so now with that, boy, that's amazing. I just had a train of thought. Let me go back on that. I'll edit this out.
Thank you.
19 million. Unbelievable. Okay.
I know.
I just cannot get over that. Okay. There are a lot of people listening who are trying to build a brand and have a presence in social media, and it is just a struggle. And I'm not I'm not suggesting you have the formula, but I bet you have some lessons learned from setbacks or failures and obviously a clear success. What advice
Mhm.
do you have for someone who may be trying to grow a following on social media?
I think it's definitely you've got to sacrifice your time. Like it's very time consuming, so that you've got to compromise really, and you've got to put the time into it. If you love it enough, you will. I find that everyone asks me this question, like how can we become successful? You just really is persistence and consistency on the
Yeah.
app or on all apps, to be honest. You've got to make people believe in what you believe and get and be in their faces 24/7. And the way the algorithm works is like it favors one video, it doesn't favor the other. But if you're only giving yourself like a 10% chance, if you're only posting one video every couple months or even one a week, it should be I mean, when I started with the app, it was like 3 videos a day. It was pretty intense. But if you want it and you want it hard enough, you will also follow the trends, and you'll be observing what other artists are doing, and then try and basically replicate that, but also make it original and do an original like so yeah, you've because again, we're all inspired by each other. So I guess essentially even the biggest of songs like sounds similar to that song and that song because we're all inspired by one another.
True. I was talking to a social media influencer. She also does a lot of training on this topic. I asked her that similar question, and your answer was pretty close to that too. What this other person was saying it's about consistency, and she
Hmm.
was saying for every 100 videos you put up, you might have one that just goes crazy.
Yeah.
But the key is if you weren't being consistent, you're never going to find that one. So my point is, it's a little bit of a mystery, but I like the takeaway there of
Of
really
course, yeah.
being yourself and staying true to yourself on that and being consistent with that.
Yeah, yeah, completely. I think it's a little bit of luck, and I think that is life
Well,
in general. It's like a little bit of luck, and it's getting that lucky break, really.
tell me more about that. I think you're spot on, and we've never talked about that here in the podcast. But what part of that is luck, and where does that luck come from? I think you're on it, but tell me a little bit more about your own definition of that.
Do you know, I wish I knew all the answers. I don't know. Like, I really do feel like I've learned over the years it's not about what you know, it's about who you know as well.
True.
That is a massive factor in making it in whatever industry you're in. And the luck side of things, I don't know if the luck is just hard work paying off because if I mean, for example, I think I had posted a ridiculous amount of videos before I got that 19.4 million. I don't know if the app just said, let's cut her some slack. We'll give her 19 million.
She's due.
She's done 100 videos right now, and they're all maybe like 50,000. Like let's give her the million. Like so, you honestly, it's luck.
Yeah.
I don't think you can manufacture it. Obviously, a lot of the apps now are allowing you to boost your posts and put a couple pounds on this, and like you can pay for
Hmm.
it or dollars, sorry, a couple dollars on this.
Yeah.
Um, but sometimes I find that the apps catch on to that as well, and they then don't actually push your videos out because they know that you're going to put money towards it to promote it. I mean, it's hard. Like, yeah, it's very difficult. You just really have to have the hunger and the passion for it. Otherwise, a lot of people would just give up.
It's true. I just think that the statement you made about it linked to hard work, I do believe that. Not that I have all the answers, but I'm saying I personally believe that the harder you work, the more you put in, or the more
Yeah.
consistent and the grit, and then you are rewarded with that. But the issue is it doesn't always happen on your timing. It does take
Yeah.
time and
Yeah.
right, and I'm sure you've seen that as well.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I think the social media is one big facade, essentially, isn't it? Everything looks so glamorous and and that you have overnight success with one video, because that one video is all that anyone has just saw over the last 24 hours. They haven't saw the videos that didn't even get over
It's
a
true.
thousand views. So yeah, and so this is why it's really important for us, everyone, to be super honest with their journey, because it's not a walk in the park.
No,
It really is a graft.
it is. Speaking of glamour and reaching goals, and I on Instagram, I saw that you were singing with and have toured with Andrea Bocelli.
Mm.
And w- I don't know. I don't know where to start on this, Nicole. I guess my first
Yeah,
question would be is
my mind is blown as well.
how, first off, how did that connection happen? And let's start there.
The connection happened because of my videos I'd been posting online for years.
Really?
Yeah, which is that really does show you how fantastic of an opportunity can come from putting yourself out there. And a lot of people are nervous to put themselves out there and put their videos online because they're very critical of themselves, but you never know who's watching. Like, and it seems like that's the way that the marketing is going now, especially with A&Rs. And it was actually one of his team, one of Andrea's team, who's an producer and A&R, who seeks the talent for him, who came across one of my Greatest Showman covers,
Yes.
which, believe it or not, the Greatest Showman cover had actually been posted in 2018, but they never got in touch with me until 2021.
Really?
So yeah, and so that
Which,
was quite surprised. Not surprised. I mean, the whole thing was surprising, but
yeah.
again, it's just being persistent. And I think that they had watched the journey for all those years, possibly, and watched the views going up and the fan base growing, and the momentum behind the project, and myself, and the hunger that the passion behind with me. And so yeah, so that was just unbelievable. And I got an email one day, which I thought I was being punked.
I bet you did.
I just didn't, because you get a lot of these emails where it's like, I don't know, like, you're gonna get signed to Universal, they want to
Right.
meet you tomorrow, and it's a scam. Like, everything's a
Sure.
scam these days. So you can't trust these emails usually. So when I seen this email, I thought, surely not. And yeah, and then the rest was history. And I was asked to do a little audition video, but I just sent it like as a voice memo on my iPhone. And it was learning a part of the Italian duet of
Yeah.
Andrea's called Canto della Terra. And I sent it, and they were like, amazing, here's the 2 dates that we would love to see you. We'd love to have you perform on. And it was like,
You are kidding me.
It was stadiums. Like, it was so funny to go from, obviously, doing some fantastic venues like theaters and Royal Albert Halls and stuff, but also just doing normal weddings and normal, like, just, I mean, I will
Stadiums.
go anywhere. Yeah, to go from there to stadiums was like a dream come true. Like, genuinely a dream. I never
I
thought in years would happen.
can't imagine. So the Greatest Showman cover, was that never enough? Was that the cover?
It was actually This Is Me.
This is me. Okay.
Yeah, which is, again, that's quite an unusual one, because Never Enough was the one that had more reach.
Right.
However, they did already have a singer, which is the original singer of Never Enough, Lauren Allred, on the tour with them previously.
Okay.
So I don't know if they were obviously inspired by The Greatest Showman, and when they saw my This Is Me cover, they were like, that's the girl that needs to sing This Is Me. And they
Hmm.
made a whole orchestral arrangement of it, and it just sounded like a Disney
Oh,
sound.
well, here again, everybody, you have to check out Nicole on Instagram and on TikTok. You can see some of these things that we're talking about. There's a cover you do of Chandelier that is un
Orchestral, yeah.
unbelievable. Was
Thank
that,
you.
I mean, from where that was how do I describe this? That was part of that tour. I mean, that was
Yeah,
part of the stadium tour that you were on then with Andrea.
yeah, yeah. It was incredible. That again, I had covered this song back 2015 or 13. I can't. I was so young, and I was in my little like garden sunroom in my home back home in Scotland, and it was just, yeah, so watching the video back, and then I did this transition video where I went from doing this cover to doing the stadium with Andrea, and everyone was like, wow. And I'd put like the year of it being like 2018 and now
Mm,
2022. Like, I'm performing it to
yeah.
50,000 people. So the chandelier orchestral cover was unbelievable and such a challenge. And I feel like I almost felt like I had something to prove. So I never brought any keys down. I thought, okay, I'm like, and I feel like it was like a 25 piece or more orchestra. And I'm like, cool. I just took it in my stride and I just went for it. And I was terrified, but you never saw that on stage. Backstage,
No,
yes, but not on stage.
it's just a fantastic live performance because again, it was almost like you have something to prove in that song, and you just brought it. It's just beautiful. So
Thank you.
congratulations on that.
Thank you so much, Darren.
I'd love for you to put this into words. I'm always interested in live performers, whether you play soccer or basketball or yeah, but for you, a singer,
Yeah.
you're ready to go on stage. And how do you remain calm in the moment, in the right mindset? What do you do to make sure you're staying present?
I try and just focus on my breathing. I try and get into the zone almost, like a zone out, if anything, and just I thank my dad. I thank God for the opportunity. I just be in touch with myself, and I'm speaking to myself, like having like it's almost like an outer body experience, to be honest. But it's the only way that sort of it can calm me down. And I also then try and with Andrea, he brings his whole family on tour with him. So his family are backstage, the dog is backstage, and I just try
Really?
and yeah, so I try and be present with all of them, and it takes my mind off of the fact. And then I also admire them watching him on stage as well. And yeah, so there's so much going on back there that you're hopefully you're distracted enough to be just giving yourself a little bit of a pep talk basically, and being like, you know what, you can do this, you deserve to be here, you've worked so hard for this. Like I had to keep consistently giving myself a pep talk because yeah, so that anxiety, it was new for me actually, but I again, like I said, it was quite the transition to go from doing weddings and events to being in front of 50,000 people.
It's remarkable.
Yeah.
The
And the
phrase of
pressure of making sure that I was not going to let Andrea down as well, because I'm stood next to him and he is just an
yeah,
icon. And I just, yeah, and I admire him so much. And I felt a pressure of really, really like pulling up for him. Do you know what I mean?
I do. I do. Well, yeah, I do. And to go back to what we talked about earlier, it's not about what you know, it's who you know. There's always people in our lives that reach out and help us become who we are. They just kind of give us a kind of lift us up. And whether you're in any career you have, we all have those people in our lives that have given us a break and a shot, and we
Mm.
want to do well for them. Sounds like Andrea Bocelli was that for you?
He was, and I think that's why I did feel I had to show up for him, because to give a normal, upcoming, talented, driven, just a normal like girl next door, a girl from Scotland, like with no like crazy financial backing, no record deal, like an opportunity like that, I really did have to show him what I was made of, which is funny because that phrase is what my dad used to always say, like, go out and show them what you're made of. And Andrea was such a huge influence and an artist that I grew up with because my dad adored Andrea and
Really?
he loved classical music. So
Oh,
when
that's
that
beautiful.
opportunity came, yeah, when that opportunity came around, it was almost like my dad had made it happen. And that was why it was even more special.
Oh, wow, Nicole, that is special. You
Yeah.
know, on there's a video of you rehearsing with Andrea, and it's just in a normal room.
Yeah.
You guys are just casual clothes. I think Andrea's wearing shorts, and a guy's on the
Yeah.
piano, and you're there.
It was in Italy. It was in Tuscany.
Okay. Well, there's this beautiful moment when you guys are just bringing it, right? He's singing, you're singing, it's just beautiful, and then there's a pause, and you touched his arm, he touched your arm. It was just
Yeah.
a beautiful moment. What I thought of, wow, it was what there's a lot of love here, a lot of respect here. I just thought that
Mm.
was just a beautiful connection moment.
Thank you. I'm so glad that you picked up on that because luckily my fiance was in the room with me and he had actually snuck the video because that was actually in Andrea's home.
Really?
Yeah, and we were rehearsing for the first time because the first show I was doing with him was his like homecoming festival he does every summer called Teatro di Silenzio, and it's in Tuscany. And it's such a huge deal. And yeah, so we were rehearsing in his house and watching him ride horses, and it was
Oh,
just bizarre, but also the most amazing. I just memories I'll cherish forever. And when I got that, like you said, the respect and that sort of the gratification, like I just really felt so appreciated when I sang with him and he praised me. And obviously with Andrea being blind, like touch and affection is what he goes off on. And he obviously really felt the warmth between us when we connected with song. So that was really magical.
no, it's just a very human moment. So that again, for those who are not yet following Nicole on Instagram and TikTok, please do. It's red, red, red.
Thank you. Thank you.
Nicole, I just two more questions, and I'm sensitive to your time here.
No, don't be silly,
Um,
it's fine. All good with me.
okay, Nicole. So I am excited about something. I am going to London for the first time in my life in July, and then I'm
Um,
going to Scotland for the first time in my life, also in July. I can't wait. I can't wait. Yes, you mentioned my wife, Michelle. We've been married for 34 years. We can't wait to
oh, congratulations.
explore. Thank you. And you also just started something I saw on Instagram, the wedding. Hold on, let me have this right. Yeah, you have the wedding diaries. Tell us about the wedding diaries. Really cool.
Well, I have been with my partner now, who's also a singer, believe it or not, and just a creative in general. We've been together since 2015 and best friends from like 2013. So this year will be 9 years together, and we're getting married
Wow.
in July.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. So that's very exciting. And I just thought it was really important that I let my fans in because I really don't, and I even really don't like saying fans because I've become friends with everyone and everyone really knows that I'm very active on my social media. I speak with them daily and I reply to all my messages because I really do feel like for anyone who takes the time out to support me, it's really important I take the time for them. So
Yes.
I wanted to like I'm an open book and I just thought it was important. There will be some things that I keep private, of course, but I did want to just involve everyone in the wedding journey and involve them in my life because my whole life for the past year has been just nothing but wedding. It's been
Oh,
consumed with nothing but weddings and the wedding planning. So I just thought I'd bring them in on it and they can watch such a special moment in my life.
that's really neat. And I know this is private, and I want to respect that, and I can edit this out. I'm just curious.
Yeah, of
So
course.
you have, with your power ballads, and who would Nicole have? I mean, my goodness, who would sing at your wedding? And what kind of songs would you have at your wedding? Have you selected all that? You don't need to tell me, but that's a big decision for you.
I've selected all of that. I have
You
selected
have.
all of that. Yes. So I'm really lucky. So obviously when I moved to London and I started singing in the London circuit in the music scene, I met some fantastic singers that have now become my best of friends. So there's three of my bridesmaids are absolutely incredible. One has just toured the whole of the US as a Whitney Houston tribute.
Oh my gosh.
So she's phenomenal. And one of them is in Dubai making waves. The other one is like Rod Stewart's backing vocalist touring the world. So actually everyone always like, who's going to sing at your wedding? And I'm like, listen,
You're
it is
fine.
going to be the whole of London musicians are going to be attending our wedding.
Oh, that is special. Well, thanks for letting us in on that. That's really cool.
Thank
Okay,
you.
Nicole, what are some of the projects coming up for you that you're really excited about? You've done a lot, you're currently doing a lot, but what's
Mhm.
ahead that's giving you a lot of joy and purpose? What do you think?
The new music, 100% the new music. We also have a headline show that we're about to announce as well for July. The wedding, of course, which
Mm.
is very exciting. Then there'll be the honeymoon. And I'm also the big 3-0 this year. So it's all kicking off this year. It's a very exciting year. But the new music we've been working on for about a year or 2 years now. So once we're nearly there, we're at the final hurdle with it, and it's nearly time to release. And we're going down that same direction as the videos that have went viral for these past years. So it's going to be trying to bring Celine and Whitney to 2024.
Really cool. Can't wait for that. And congratulations on 3-0. I'll tell you, the 30s, it's a great decade.
Oh,
You're gonna love
amazing.
that decade. You will. Okay, Nicole, at the end of every podcast, I ask all my guests, what is your I dare you challenge for all of us? So to you, what would you dare us to try and do differently to live a better life? What do you think, Nicole?
Oh my goodness, what would I dare you to do?
And you can
Oh my
take all the
God.
time you need because I can edit this out.
What would I dare you to do to make a better life?
Yeah. And by the way, again, this will all be edited out. Yeah, as you think back to, yeah, your younger self, as lessons you've learned, and now a lot of our listeners, just so you're a podcast listener. So a lot of them want to, reach goals. They want to, live a better life. They want to get better and better. And so a lot of people, why they listen to this podcast is they just want to learn from people. So there's no wrong answer. I mean, the answers are
Okay.
really, really cool. So I'll ask it again and then see where you go. It's all good.
Okay, yeah, go ahead and ask.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
I
can't
think I
wait.
know.
All right. Okay, Nicole. So at the end of every podcast, I ask all my guests, what is your I dare you challenge for all of us? So to you, Nicole, I'm dying to hear this one. What would you dare us to do or try in order to live a better life? What do you think?
I would probably say to not take life too seriously. I think it's really important just to be goofy, have a lot of fun. I feel like this conversation I had the other day where it's really great to be striving for something if you've got goals in mind, but at the end of the day, it's important to have fun. We genuinely, without saying YOLO, which I have just said it, we are only on this planet once. And it doesn't matter how many savings you've got in the bank, because you have to, like, we're all gonna pass. Like, what, you can't bring it with you. Like, live your life to the fullest. Spend time with people, quality time. Like, I find that sometimes with my job, especially, I'm guilty of this, where fantastic opportunities come up, and whether it's financial or just for the love of my job and my music, that I miss someone's birthday, I miss someone's vital moments, but at the end of the day, the memories are what you take to the grave with you. So please be in the moment as much as you can, and definitely just live life to the fullest whenever you can.
That is a great challenge. And it has been just a treat to have you on the I Dare You podcast. It was fun learning more about your background and also what's next. And also fun to introduce the I Dare You podcast audience to you. So Nicole, thanks again for being on the show.
No, thank you. Thank you. I've had a blast. Thank you so much.